Hello and welcome to another delightful edition of your favorite podcast, the Hindsight Podcast. I want to thank everyone for joining us. We extensively thank you for sending your messages, especially on Instagram and on YouTube. Please, if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? That's the place to be in terms of great conversations and football talk. Join us now as we garnish and dice things in the world of sports. My name is Babajide Guerrero. The cap says it all. I've got IBK Sports in the house today. How are you, my man?
I'm very good.
Why are you smiling at me?
You don't collect money now. Where you did?
I have no idea, guys. I'm going to share with you
now, bro.
how the Nigerian police made me buy them lunch. But hey, it's good. It's always a good feel to see you, my man, in your bong Monday.
Yeah, Babajide Guerrero, and
It's
we
good
are
to see
live.
you, man. Yes, we are live.
We're live, and good to see you, my man.
Indeed.
And just diving in and talking football.
Yeah, you know, when you become a father, the mister in your name is not only because you are a man or you're married. It also becomes you're a father. So there's an extra meat given to you on the plate of
Don't
food.
leave us. So don't
Step
leave
forward.
Us. Don't leave us.
Father Solis Chuko.
Don't
Guys,
leave us.
Solis is a father. Please put your hands together for him. Put your hands together. Put your hands together. Yeah, give it to him. Give it to him. He's a father.
Shout out to Biola.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure to be here. Like you said, the father and I have to sit up a little straight.
Yeah, please, by all means.
Square my shoulders and everything.
By all
So,
means.
yeah,
Congratulations.
it's a real pleasure to be here. I've gotten paternity leave, so I'm fresh and I'm ready to fire again. Let's go.
All right, let's go, guys. Of course, please remember, it's all about you here. We're looking forward to hearing your very important thoughts on our social media platforms, the Hindsight Podcast on YouTube, the Hindsight Pod on Instagram. Let's fire down, guys. How will you rate Harry Kane in terms of worth? If, say, you're a club manager, how much would be valuable enough for you to rate Harry Kane?
Well, the market is all about inflation now. And you have to make the best out of your best players. I think Spurs cannot get another Harry Kane in 3 to 4 years. I mean, in terms of market value, in terms of delivery, in terms of what he has brought to the club. So if I am to be Daniel Levy, I think I would go for nothing less than 150. If you are not dropping 150, I don't think I'll let him go. So
like, some people believe is in the range of 200. Is it up to that? That means in the same conversation with the Neymars of this world.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I agree with IBK really. When you're looking at all that Harry Kane has been able to do in his career and his relative worth to Tottenham, yeah, you have to look at figures north of 150. I mean, this is a world where Jack Grealish is going for 100 million.
Yeah.
And that's something that Daniel Levy is very conscious of. He knows that Manchester City are able to spend 100 million on a player like Jack Grealish. And Harry Kane has way more in terms of numbers, in terms of impact in the Premier League. He's won Golden Boots. He's top scored at World Cups. I mean, he's pretty much done everything aside win an actual league title, which is sad. So
And for Harry Kane, what Harry Kane brings exactly, because when you look at Man City and they're signing Jack Grealish, I think they've got a bit of Jack Grealish here and there in the squad already. They've got the Bernardo Silva, Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden. They've got people who provide similar service. But the one player they do not have in that team is a Harry Kane, someone who guarantees you goals week in, week out. And if you're Daniel Levy, you'll be very conscious of that. You'll be very conscious of the fact that they just let Aguero go. Obviously, they want goals in that team. They want someone who can stay in the box and put the ball in the net. And Harry Kane is no shortage in terms of doing that week in, week out. And you've got to spend the money. And I don't know what Man City want to do, but you can't be looking for Harry Kane for anything less than 150, like IBK said. And Daniel Levy is a very shrewd guy, very smart businessman, and he's going to milk it. I'm certain he's going to milk it. He certainly will milk it. He knows Man City. They've got. I mean, it's a limitless budget. You know, when Pep was telling us in the off season, we're not going to buy a striker. Absolute rubbish. I said it was rubbish at the time because I know Man City. Man City, when they want, they do not pull back. They do not hold back. They go out for it, and it looks like Harry Kane's destination is at the tier.
Let's throw Jack Grealish in that conversation. You know, in my head, I think is a Spanish-born English player.
Okay.
He moves the ball like a Spaniard. He's one of those few English boys that actually have football sense. English players. A lot of English players have this. It's like they're taught football. It's mechanical. But Jack Grealish brings something extra. So let me just ask you guys: does he walk into any team straight up? Is he that good?
It depends on the I think.
Yeah.
I think in the Premier League, yes, absolutely. Once you are going beyond that, Jack Grealish is, he's rare in the Premier League, like you said, because there's this whole assortment of battery-reared footballers in the Premier League. They all come out of the mold, But Jack Grealish is someone who breaks that mold. He thrives outside of that. So in the Premier League, he's unique enough that I think he works into any team.
In the world?
I would say no. I would say a team. I don't see immediately where he would fit in certain teams in terms of the ethic of the team. For example, I don't think he would start 100% at Bayern Munich, for example. I don't think he would start 100% at Barcelona, for example. So, but yeah, this is a player who, for the Premier League standard, is absolutely world class. Yeah.
Worth 100 million?
That's relative. I mean, a player is worth what the club says he's worth.
But here's the thing.
It's okay.
I think when we are talking about player worth, I think the well of this conversation in terms of how much a player is worth was poisoned forever.
Yeah.
By two signings. The first one was Paul Pogba moving back to Manchester United for 89 million. The second one was Philippe Coutinho going to Barcelona for 142 million.
That one a fraud.
Those two signings wrecked the transfer market. No one knows. There's no benchmark. No one can say, okay, based on this player is worth this. So I think the whole concept of player worth already is dead.
Yeah, I think so too. Because
you pay what
the club says
he wants.
And you pay what your level of desperation says.
Exactly.
I mean, if I'm desperate to have this player, I'm going to pay anything for him. But in a sane market, I don't think Jack Grealish is worth £100 million. I'm sorry. He's a fantastic footballer. And I like when you said it, even though you didn't quite put it where the likes of Jordan Henderson will be throwing punches at you if they were here. But when you look at an English player, the English football is, in local parlance, is kick and follow. With play energy, let's run. But with Jack Grealish, I mean, great players, and he's got that attribute. Great players always have more, maybe have a second more on the ball. And that's what Jack Grealish is about. He gets on the ball. You can't hurry him to do anything. He always has his time. He takes the pace of the game. It might be insulting saying this, but he has that little bit of David Silva about him. When he gets on the ball, you're not hurrying him. He wants to do what he wants to do. So he's a special player. But £100 million, like Sole said, I mean, when a club says this is what our player is worth, you've got to pay it.
Yeah.
You've got to pay it because that's what the evaluation of him, what the evaluation of him says. But in terms of saner market, I mean, when you're thinking of a player, what exactly does he bring to the table? £100 million. I'm sorry, no player is worth £100 million.
I think two players.
Yeah. Maybe Ronaldo, Messi.
Ronaldo and Messi. Apart from that, I don't think any footballer
is worth £100 million.
Neymar? Mbappe?
No.
Okay.
I think Ronaldo and Messi.
Neymar probably in the 90s.
The way he said no. If he told me that, Mike.
but him saying that what Jack Grealish does and all, talking about 100 million, I think is worth it. I've seen his game. He's someone that
everybody has seen. Why this sounding special?
No. If he has seen,
did you go to Villa Park to see this game? We watched it on TV. We've seen this game.
I take no.
But there are people who bring a different perspective.
Yes, that's what.
Not everyone wants
exactly what I'm saying. See, Jack Grealish is seen his game. Jack Grealish is the guy. Okay, Grealish is the guy that if he's with the ball, you are certain that something is going to happen.
Yeah. He's got that effect.
If someone can deliver that much, at Aston Villa where you don't have fantastic players around you, I think for me, Grealish is if you are buying him for 100 in this kind of market, I think it's
not that easy. It's not that easy. I mean, saying a player does well at a small club, because I've seen that over time. It's not that easy because, for instance, many years ago, I'm an Arsenal fan. Many years ago, we had a guy called David Bentley. And I thought he was an absolute cracker of a footballer. He had good football brains. Yes. Arsenal sent him on loan at Blackburn. He was unbelievable. Scored a hat-trick against United. I can't forget that. Comes back to Arsenal, hardly could get a game.
No, that was different.
He left. No, I'm not talking about. I was trying to make the point when you said that if he did it at Aston Villa, it means he can do it anywhere. I mean, it's not easy because the level of pressure at Aston Villa is nowhere near the level of pressure at a club like Man City, because at Man City the standards are very high.
That's a great point you made. And another thing there is, when you move certain clubs, there are certain players that need a certain amount of the ball during a game, they need to touch the ball
Yeah.
frequently in order to stay in touch with the game.
True.
Now,
like
when
that.
you're moving from Aston Villa, where everybody is trying to
Gives
pass
you
the
the
ball,
ball,
to
yeah.
make a difference, to Manchester City, where it's very structured, you wait in your zone for the ball to come to you.
True.
You need a high level of concentration.
That is a brilliant
That's a
point.
whole other thing. So
That's a brilliant point
It
because
depends. It still,
when you go to Man
it
City,
still depends on the coach.
when
What
you
he
go to-
said now, it still depends on the coach.
No,
No, but do you think Guardiola will
if-
rip his system apart?
No,
because of
he
Grealish?
can.
I don't think so.
Hold on.
I still believe. I still believe.
IBK,
Grealish,
hold on.
okay.
Hold on. When you go to Man City,
Yes.
you walk into a dressing room filled with plenty match winners.
Yes.
You're not the biggest. Clearly, you're not the biggest.
You're a unit.
You're
part of
going into a
something.
team that, like you said, they've got structures already. This is how we play. And when we're in desperation and Kevin De Bruyne is on the pitch, he's the leader. You've got to get the ball to him. He's not Jack Grealish is not Kevin De
Bro,
Bruyne.
you forgot
And
that he's
if
coming
he goes to
in.
that kind of
He's
club,
coming in as the highest buy.
it
That's
doesn't matter.
You can't.
It doesn't matter.
It matters. It matters.
I
They
get what you're saying.
They bought me for
I get what
100.
you're saying.
I think I'll look at De Bruyne and I'll be
Do you
starstruck.
know how much Man
counterpoint-
City bought De Bruyne?
Yes, he will be starstruck.
Do you
He's
know
De
how much
Bruyne.
Man City
It won't.
A counterpoint to
This
what
is a
you're
national
saying.
team player.
A counterpoint
This is
to
a
what you're
player.
saying.
De Bruyne is national team player.
Look at how
I'm
much.
saying that he can't be
Look at how much
starstruck.
Man
He
City
can't.
paid to buy Riyad Mahrez.
Okay, 60 million. I was going there.
Riyad Mahrez was their previous highest signing. They bought him, but it took him 3 years to earn Guardiola's trust. 3 good years. Every time Guardiola would give him a chance, he's a great player. This guy has lifted Leicester, lowly Leicester, to Premier
Yeah.
League champions. He's
won
a great
the
player,
African
but
Cup.
he just
Quite easily
didn't fit.
walks into
he
the
would
other
play-
19 teams.
He would,
Yeah.
Guardiola
Quite
would give him
easily.
a game. He's a great player, but he's not getting it.
Yeah.
He's not quite getting when to stay wide, when to come in, what to do with the ball in certain situations. Guardiola puts him out of the team again. He comes back in, puts him out of the team again. So it took him a number of years. Last season, finally, he put together a run. He played over 30 league games last season. So it's a gradual process.
Exactly.
So Jack Grealish may come...
how he reacts, how
Yes.
Jack Grealish reacts
So
when he
that's
gets into
something
the
he
basket.
has
the
to
do.
massive-
Guys-
I can tell the two of you here
Okay,
and
that's
write
what.
it down.
Where?
Grealish is an instant impact. It's no matter of you have to wait for.
All right.
it.
No,
I mean,
but
It would make impact.
you are sounding like we
It would
don't
make
want him to
impact
do well in
with
reality.
That's the way you are sounding, my brother.
No, we're not sounding.
My brother, that's the way you are sounding.
No, you're sounding like we don't want
My
him
brother,
to
that's
do
the way you
well
are
in
sounding.
But
brother.
wait, let's just establish something. That Ini is not a family member to Grealish. So it's not as if he's
Now
wishing
I
him
know,
well.
now I
No,
need to
guy,
surprise
calm
you.
down.
All right, guys. But let's throw in one guy that everybody thinks to be like what Jack Grealish is to his team is the same thing he is to his own team. Step forward, the man who tends to take games at the scruff of his neck every time, but he still doesn't seem to be the big team player. Wilfred Zaha.
Wow.
It's another. Hold on. It's
Yeah.
another season transfer window where nobody's talking about him. Is it that he's not in demand or his PR is not enough or they don't trust him enough? Just like you said something about Riyad Mahrez not being trusted. The big boys are not looking his way. We
Sorry.
had Arsenal at the time and it wasn't coming
See,
through.
Guerrero,
IBK,
he has been given a chance.
you like my
before.
name. So talk. You don't have to say Guerrero. I'm here in front of you.
He has been given a chance before.
By who?
Man United.
Okay. Fair
People-
enough. But it was a boy.
I don't think they
People
give him a
left-
chance.
Yeah, I was
See,
gonna say.
he has
I
been
don't
given
think
a
they give
chance
him a
before,
chance.
and people already see it. I remember when Darren Bent was like that. You know, he came in from forgotten that team. He came into
Charlton Athletic?
Charlton Athletic. He came into Spurs and he was nothing compared to what he was doing there. So if you have been given a chance,
He once missed a chance that Harry Redknapp said my grandmother would have scored that.
if you have been given a chance before,
Harry Redknapp is
that's
savage.
for you
by
to know.
his-
For you to know that Zaha,
indeed.
I feel Zaha is not what people think he is again. He's the one fighting for his own transfer.
The Zaha conversation.
Clubs, we are not even hearing rumors.
I think
That's what I'm saying.
clubs
That's
are
what
not
I'm
coming
saying.
in.
I think Zaha is an interesting conversation in that it shows that a lot of the time these clubs don't necessarily consider context when they are looking at certain players. For example, like Ini said, you can look at it and say Zaha was given a chance at United, but really, when you think about it, was he really given a chance at
wasn't
United?
really.
He was a young player
was
going
a boy.
to a big club. There's a certain
Why do you guys
No, there's
talk
a
about
set-
young being young? It's
No,
not.
no,
it's not a matter of being young.
No, he's a man.
If
no,
you
it's
are good, if you are good, Solis, you are good.
He don't-
No,
he
no,
doesn't.
no,
He
it's not
doesn't
a matter of
necessarily
being
work
young.
like that.
If
IBK.
you are good, you are good.
No, no.
Stop saying that.
No,
It's
let
not-
me let
I
me
feel
give,
it's wrong.
let me give an example.
Yes.
For example, Manchester United just bought Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund.
All right.
He was at Borussia Dortmund for 2 seasons, proving he could do it. Now, if they had bought him from Manchester City straight,
Yeah.
do you think he would have played the same way that he
Not-
has been?
no
course not.
chance.
There would have to be, when you buy certain young players, you have to have a program for their
Mold
development.
them
You
into
can say,
what you
okay,
want.
over this first season, you're still young, we'll give you X amount of minutes. Then we'll bump it up gradually. We'll take you from there. I don't think Zaha really had that at United. And there was, of course, all the other stuff around rumors about him with the manager and not getting along with Moyes. And so that, so there was all of that. So I think clubs really should take all of that into account, all that context, and they don't always do that.
Guys,
And I
you know,
think
just
that's a part of the problem.
I just threw
And that's
that
part
in.
of the problem.
I just threw that in,
If
actually.
you are spending money, if you are the one spending the money, and so you've seen a result of something before, you will be scared to put your money in it again. I can tell you for free. Zaha has been given a chance, whether I was young or he was old.
He wasn't given a chance.
If I was,
You know,
if
I'm
I'm a
happy-
businessman,
Don't
I'm
even
happy-
try to convince me. I don't think he was given
I'm
a
not
chance. because
spending money
when
on
I'm
you
very
say-
happy you're not good.
When,
I'm not spending money.
Because nobody go collect second chance again.
That's life
because
for you, bro.
when you say he was given a chance, before I can say young player, because and you can't take young out of football. It's part of the game because
True.
players are different from 21, 22, 23. That's why when a player gets to 24, you hear things like he's stalled in his development. He's not growing. Because
I
those
think that-
those years are developmental. You've got to, there are things you learn to do. When Saka got into the Arsenal team, I used to be so angry. As in, when Emery put Saka, I said, what is he about? I was struggling to find what he's about. The next season, next season, he's gone into the gym. He's built. His ability to protect the ball was better. And that happens with young players. You know, they develop.
Yes.
They look at aspects of their game that they're not quite doing well. And that happens if you're given a chance. Maybe a little run in the side, a spells in the team.
Yeah, here and there.
If you're not getting that, there is no way you're going to perform magic. No matter how well you do it in the training ground, if you're not playing 5-6 games, and we're not saying starting 5-6 games, we're saying if the manager is willing to give you 20 minutes for 5, 6, 7 games, that's an opportunity.
Yes, that's a program that can be
It's
followed.
something. And that's something that Salah never got at Man United. So when you say he got a chance, I still don't think he got that kind of chance because that boy's got talent. That boy has literally dragged Crystal Palace for the past 3-4 seasons. And when you look at Crystal Palace as a team, that team has been one of the most shocking teams around. Because players are over 30, players are 34, 35. Crystal Palace is a candidate for relegation every season. But every season they're finishing top 13, top 14, and that's Zaha.
Yeah.
Top scorer at the club for a couple of years.
It's all
Now,
Zaha.
why he hasn't gotten a big move, I will never know. I seriously will never know. Because Guerrero talked about PR. I don't know if it's
PR publicity.
maybe his
not- it's
agent,
not
maybe
about
his
PR.
manager.
Or
You play in the Premier League, which is not PR.
I think
In the Premier
for me, I think Zaha is a great player, right? But I think when it comes to big clubs, you have to look at the kind of football they play, the kind of players they want. There are certain players that, you know, like we're saying the other time, it's not linear. You can't say because the player is good at this club, he'll be great at the bigger club. That's just it. There are certain styles that are good for a certain level of club that do not necessarily translate. Zaha is a player that can take a club like Crystal Palace, who are down on their luck, who don't really have any stars, who look like they are going nowhere, and can elevate them to safety. It's a different thing to go to an already big club and take them from where they are to another higher level. And I don't think the way Zaha plays, I don't think his game, even though he's doing really well at Crystal Palace, even though his numbers are good for them, I don't think his numbers have gotten to that level where we can say, once we put him into a big team, he immediately elevates that big team.
True.
And once you consider that and the fact that he's expensive, he's going to be expensive to get out of Crystal Palace because for some reason, these players end up signing jumbo contracts for long periods of time that sabotage themselves.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing with
But
Kane,
most of them are
which
already
was
having
causing-
sense now.
Well,
It's getting
so you look at that, and then for these big clubs, you wonder, is it really worth the trouble?
Yeah, is it needed?
So that's just it.
Let's talk about one thing that few players tend to do. I don't know. It's not really rampant, but it's there. And for me, it is sometimes sickening and sometimes tiring. Where is the professionalism when a player tries to force a move and say, you know what, I'm not going to training? Does that make sense in any way?
It doesn't make sense. I
That
mean,
guy did it. That one that is always having injury, Ousmane Dembele. If you touch your TV, Dembele will carrying injury. If you just say, okay, change that channel, when you come back, every day he has carried injury. You know, he forced his way out of Borussia Dortmund to Barcelona. Yeah. And now we hear some players doing that. So is that, being professional, is it a personal decision?
It's not a personal decision. It's what the game demands. If you're getting paid tons of money week in, week out, the game demands. It's your job. You're expected to be professional. You're expected to be professional. That's why you get paid for it. And for Harry Kane, it doesn't look nice. It doesn't look nice. But people have come on and said, I've not had the privilege of working with Harry Kane, but the people who have had the privilege of working with him said, this guy's a great pro.
God bless you, Ini. You know why? Because if it was IBK saying that statement, we say, I've seen Harry Kane walk. But you came out to say, you know what? I've not worked with Harry Kane. I know people that work with Harry Kane.
Why they bring this one? People, I don't understand.
Don't find it. He's trying to get under your skin. Yeah. People have said, this guy is a pro.
Yeah.
He must be something that has made him behave like that. And I just feel that there's a breakdown in communication. Clearly, when Harry Kane, you talked about signing jumbo contracts. When Harry Kane signed his last contract, I'm
6
certain.
years.
I'm certain he sat in that room with Daniel Levy and said, I'm going to sign this contract because when I want to leave, I want you to get a huge amount of money. Yeah. And when the bid comes in, I want you to let me go. I think Harry Kane is behaving like this because he thinks he's been let down by the club.
Possibly.
I think that's what I can see, because when you see Harry Kane on the pitch, the way he conducts himself, he's a leader.
He's a leader.
For him to do this, he's so annoyed. He's trying to.
Something?
But I think he's not going about it the right way.
Okay.
I personally think he's not, because Daniel Levy. Remember when Madrid wanted to sign Bale?
Yeah, Bale.
And then looked like the negotiations were going very well, and obviously Real Madrid felt it's in the bag already, and then they set up a stage at the Bernabeu that they were going to present, and then Levy got wind of it and said, you haven't paid me any money, we have not signed anything, and you're setting up a stage. You bring that stage down or he's going nowhere. He's such a hard man. He's such a man that he's not the kind of guy that Harry Kane is going to sit at home. He will put Harry Kane in the stands for 1 year. He's that kind of guy. So I think Harry Kane is going about it the wrong way. He shouldn't be doing that. But he must be very annoyed that the club has let him down.
Possibly.
I think there's a thin line between being professional and the club letting you down. We made mention of Donnarumma on this same show. A lot of Milan fans were calling him Snake, but they forgot that these clubs are also very manipulative.
True.
Most of these players, they tend to sign a long contract because, like he said, there's an agreement, there's an understanding that, the only reason I'm signing this contract is because when I want to leave, I want you to get enough money and make it easy for myself too. Now you look at the likes of Mesut Ozil when they had issues with the club, how the club spoiled their image, how they made it so bad for them. They called him different names. So these players are beginning to understand that there's loyalty, there's professionalism, and there's manipulation in football. So the only way you can get it done is you don't sign long-term contract. That's why.
And when you do that, Aston Villa fans will come on that.
It doesn't mean
Jack Grealish comments on Facebook post and be calling him Snake.
That's why the likes of Donnarumma can go for a free. Wijnaldum as well went for a free. These are players that could, fetch you some amount of money. And I feel for me, it's not being unprofessional. These players are just getting smarter, and I'm happy that the clubs are paid with this current development.